Peoples, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Mike, um, coming to talk to y'all tonight for a few moments about marriage, committed relationship, what have you. I wanted to touch on a subject that's pretty sensitive for a lot of people, um, especially people who have gone through it, and that being the topic of divorce. Um, and why it happens. Excuse me. Um, yeah, a lot of people go through divorce and they feel like after the divorce is over, they're beat down. They're so bogged down with what they had to endure, go through uh, in the marriage or in the divorce process, that they don't have a desire um, to remarry or be in a committed relationship or anything of the sort. But you have those who do. And someone asked me a question, and they were like, Micah, you do a lot of videos and post a lot of statuses and stuff like that. But I want to know, what do you think people should do if they're unhappy in their marriage and they don't feel like they should continue on? Basically asking me if I agree with the premise of divorce. And it was a pretty tough question to answer because there are so many circumstances that would make divorce acceptable in so many people's eyes. But to me, it's not as easy as just saying I'm not happy, so I want to get a divorce. It's not that easy. It's not that simple, especially when you have other people involved, like children. But I feel like um, there are circumstances that would warrant you getting a divorce. One of those circumstances being domestic violence. If you're getting physically abused, I don't think you should stay in that. I don't think that God created the institution of marriage for people to enter into it with crazy folk and get abused. I don't think that if your husband is beating you senseless, or your wife is physically abusive to you, because there are relationships out there where the woman is the abuser, and I don't think you should stay in a situation like that. Um, but then we get to a more surface level issue of mental abuse, emotional abuse. If your spouse is mentally or emotionally abusive, should you stay? Should you go? And that's not as easy to answer as just straight yes or no. Simply because there are so many different ways that you can receive help in that area that would cause you to not have to get a divorce. So, in response to that, I would say that if the individual who is doing the abusing, so rather be the husband or the wife, if they don't desire to get help with their verbal abuse, or the abuse that they're causing to you mentally or emotionally, then I think it's best that you would leave that situation. Because what you're going to do if you don't is you're going to continue to fester those feelings of anger, frustration, and just malice toward this individual, and eventually you're going to do something that's gonna be really bad. So before you let yourself get to that point, I would recommend that you leave that situation if you don't see that there's any kind of hope in sight, or the person that you're with doesn't want to get any help. They don't feel like they do anything wrong, or whatever the case might be. However, if the person that you with is actively working on being a better person, That means they're going to counseling if they need it. They're communicating better with you, or at least trying to, showing some kind of effort to say, hey, I know this is wrong, but the habit didn't get formed overnight and it's not going to break overnight, but I am going to work on it if you can just work with me. And so with that being said, okay, I do not condone the overall just divorcing people just to be divorcing them. However, if your marriage is emotionally damaging, physically damaging, mentally damaging, and you can't receive any help to make that a better situation, then it may be best for you to go your separate ways. And after you have divorced, you have to allow yourself some time, please. Now, this is the most important part. Allow yourself time to get over what you've just gone through before you get with somebody else. Now, I'm not saying go and turn yourself into a nun or a monk and don't talk to nobody. No, what I am saying is though, give yourself time to regroup yourself and get back to you before you just start going and talking and dealing with other people. Because what you'll do is you'll unconsciously make them suffer for something that they didn't do to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not the one who beat you, knocked you upside your head. So why are you making me have to reap repercussions for something that somebody else did to you? Well, that's happening because you didn't take enough time to really deal with that in yourself, and you didn't seek out any kind of resources to help you deal with that situation before you decided that you wanted to jump into a relationship with somebody else. So if you did get a divorce, or you're on the verge of getting a divorce, or your marriage just isn't working and you don't see a way that it can work, and you have decided that, hey, this isn't working, I think it's best that we just go our separate ways. Give yourself time to regroup and get yourself together before you just go jump head first into another relationship with anybody else. Because if you don't, you are going to cause that person to have to deal with situations and deal with feelings of frustration, anger, or whatever, uh, that they didn't bring on to you. They didn't cause you to have to act that way towards them. All right. So don't make somebody else suffer because of what someone else did to you. So there is no black white answer to this. Uh, it's circumstantial. Depends on the circumstances. Depends on the person. Depends on the marriage. Depends on the people. And the same goes for any kind of committed, long-lasting relationship. If you're in a committed, long-lasting relationship and you're not happy, leave. If they're physically abusing you, leave. If they're emotionally abusive and you don't see them trying to get any kind of help with that, leave. Don't subject yourself to years and months and days and hours of physical, emotional, or mental abuse from someone who obviously doesn't really care about you. All right. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. Um, I'm probably going to revisit this again this week, because I'd be interested to hear what my wife will have to say to you guys about that. Because usually the female perspective is a little different. So I'll probably bring her in and get her to say a few things about divorce, and if it's acceptable, and if it is, um, when do you do that? So be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that it gave you some insight to the issue of divorce. Um, if not, if you want, if you have a question or anything like that, you can reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to answer your question. But that's it. Be happy, be in love, be married. Best Friends Book. Peace.